Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Tea, Coffee, and Torah. And again, right now, coffee is winning out at 6-0, but I do plan for that to change next week. I'd like to start with a verse. And if you can tell, the sun is still in my eyes this morning, with every day getting a little bit, the sun coming up a little bit lower every day, or later rather. This might be a little bit of an issue, so I may have to find another spot for our podcast. But I want to share a verse with you. It says, "For I command you this day to love Yahweh your God, to walk in obedience to him, and to keep his commands, decrees, and laws. Then you will live and increase, and Yahweh will bless you in the land that you are going to possess." Now, we've been talking this week about population collapse in America, and not just in America, but around the world. And notice in Deuteronomy 30:16, and I think this is something that we often overlook, is the fact that one of the promises is that Yahweh will multiply us. So this is in the context of choose life. You know, I set before you life and death, therefore choose life. And it's a command that as part of choosing life, we choose also to increase. And it is only by increasing that people thrive. Scripture, Yahweh has a very inflationary view of children. For the children to be as the sand of the seashore, then we're always going to be having more of them. And that brings not only joy, but a lot of economic viability, military strength. But and this is a precept because, so many people say, oh, it's just Israel, it's just Israel. It's the Torah isn't for everyone. It is. Because it is for everyone, because when you embrace it, the concepts, the precepts are universal. It doesn't matter who you are. If you follow it, you are going to be blessed and you are going to increase. And then, you become the head and everybody else becomes the tail. But it really begins with increasing. This cup was given to me by a friend of mine. So, looks like the sun is starting to go behind the patio here. Children, and I may create a graph later on, but right now the rate that America is replacing its population is 1.6. So if you think of a man and a woman, and they have children, they're having like almost half a person less with each generation. Right now we have 51 million foreigners that have come into our land, just like in the last year or the last couple of years. They are having an average of 7 children per family. And when you do the numbers, you find that in 20 years, the population flips, where all of a sudden they now have the greater population, and now we have the weaker population because we're not following Deuteronomy 30:16's command to multiply. And with that comes a change and a shift in values. You may know that Islam is the number one fastest growing religion, fastest growing people are its adherents. And that means that in the future, they will be the ones that will be setting policy. So whatever children you do have, they will live under that policy. They will live according to those laws, those procedures. You can see what happened in Iran in the 1960s before the revolution. Women dressed normally. They dressed actually very, very, I would say elegantly, skirts that down to their knee. And they were thriving. Women went to college. You had technological advancements. But after the revolution, that was no longer something that was valued. And now, everybody's in a burqa. Everybody's, wearing black. And the question is, what do we want for our nation? What do we want for our people and our future? Scripture teaches the principle of survival of the fittest. But Yahweh teaches us how to become the fittest of all people so that we won't be subjugated, so that we can live by his laws. But if we don't follow what he says to do, then the consequence is we will be living under somebody else's laws. So what I'd like to share with you are some practical things that you can do to fulfill this command to multiply so that you can be a blessing. You know, I've talked about each of us being a Messiah, how we can take hold of the law and we can do it. And here's one of the ways that you can do it. Now, I'm going to address retirees first of all, because I think that when you look at demographics, whether it's America, Japan, China, most nations today, it may say that we have 340 million people, but over 50% of those people are like in their 60s or older. So that is a concern because we're not replacing ourselves at the rate that we are maturing and aging. So what can you do? And I hope this inspires you. You know, I'm not trying to spread a lot of doom and gloom because this is totally reversible. This is something that we can do. It is a change that we can make. And I think you can find a lot of meaning in it. You can find a lot of joy and happiness. I will say for myself, I certainly have. So number one, if you're a retiree, you can help with your grandkids. That may mean babysitting. It may mean making some meals for the family. It could even mean maybe doing a little bit of homeschooling, helping with homeschooling, if that's the option that your kids select. You can also be a taxi service. Take them to whatever sports activities or whatever events that they're involved in to help mom and dad out. Come over and do some laundry. I think we have this cultural perception in America that I don't think is very healthy. And that is, it's like, oh, when I get to 50 or 60, I get to basically retire from all my responsibilities. And we just kind of let them fall carte blanche on the next generation without giving them the help and the support that we need, or they need. When you look at history, historically, families lived on a homestead. Everybody participated in the growing of food and the building of houses. And of course, the Amish are a prime example of a community that continues to do that today. But you find that it really does take a family to help grow and foster another generation. So get involved. You know, I know that family relationships can be very, very difficult. You know, there may be hard feelings between parent and child. It may require swallowing your pride or just biting your tongue to be who they need you to be. And just get involved. You have such an impact through kindness and gentleness, and helping, and that softens hearts. It softens hearts, it softens attitudes, and it builds relationships by contributing something. You know, it is true. Actions speak louder than words. So when you have those actions, they speak more for you than any teaching or anything that you can do. And that will help them be able to have the 3 to 4 children per family or more. If they want more, fantastic. You know, I think the other thing that we need to challenge as a society, and I encourage each of you, if you hear this, call them on it. Don't let them just, you know, make a cut down and run. I think that's how the bully mentality continues. I think that's how we continue to be a minority in this, or at least what seems to be a minority. And that is, I know for our family, we had 6 kids, and I always heard, oh, you know, do you know what causes that? Or why would you want, you're a smart young lady, why would you want to have 6 kids? You know, you're bright, why do that? And I'm like going, wait a minute, how is it that we have come to a point where we view kids as something that isn't desirable, as something that takes away from our quality of life or from the fulfillment and enjoyment? So I encourage each of you, when you hear somebody make those type of comments, challenge them. Don't be ugly, but just say, hey, no, children are a blessing. Yes, I know exactly what causes it. And you know what? I plan to keep causing it. So those are some practical things you can do. The other thing is, if you can live near, sometimes a lot of us, we live all across the country. Our kids have had to move for jobs, or maybe we've had to move for various reasons. If you can live near your kids and help them, then by all means do it. And you tend to reap what you sow. So as you age and you've helped your children raise their children, then they help you as you age, and maybe you're not able to do all those things that you were once able to do. So you really do reap what you sow, and you have such meaningful relationships. There is so much wisdom that grandparents have to pass on to their kids. And not being involved in their lives, being separated by distance or being separated for other reasons, it really misses out on that opportunity. Now, you may find, too, that maybe you don't have kids. I would encourage you to find a family you can foster, whether it's through a local church, a local synagogue. Get involved. I would love to see, this is a great need. If somebody's looking to pour their energy into something meaningful, start a nonprofit where you help families. Maybe it's families helping families or grandparents helping families. And you can network and get people together so that an older generation is mentoring a younger generation. Financial support. And again, this comes down to our ideas in America of what we have regarding the ideas that, I've hit retirement, all my responsibilities, anything towards the family is just gone. I no longer have to worry about it. If you are able, don't put yourself in a bind. Don't hurt yourself. But if you are able to help your children get a better home, maybe in a better, safer neighborhood, do that. If you are able to help them with groceries or diapers or something so that they can afford to have the 3 to 4 children that are needed, then do it. Get involved. Again, it comes back to this adage, we do reap what we sow. And it is a tremendous blessing. And this is the other thing, because of the policies that our government has pursued, there is rapid inflation. When I had my last child, I paid the hospital $430 to deliver Zachary. And, I think I was there less than 24 hours. Well, now my daughters just had our third grandbaby. They paid $8,000. And that's crazy, just the rate of inflation. But I think that, us calling for some oversight of these type of charges, she was charged for things that they didn't use, they didn't need. So I do think that there does need to be some active pursuits of ways that this is more economically viable. So children aren't, prohibited from having kids due to the sheer cost of labor, delivery, and prenatal care. So that is something, it may be that a network of doctors form some sort of, families building families alliance where they're willing to help families get started. And again, invest in a future generation. There's just so many opportunities. And these are not opportunities that one person can do. It really takes each of us saying, hey, this is what I can do. And by contributing, by being productive and growing our society, we all benefit from it. And it's something where it's a very individualistic thing. Each of us can be a Messiah. Each of us can take hold of the law to embrace it and to be a blessing to others. Now, once you have the kids, it doesn't really do any good if they're just going to go down the same path as what has led to America's decline. So then it becomes a matter of education. There's so many great resources out there today. Homeschooling is really becoming a viable option. I've homeschooled all 6 of my kids. Are there things I would do different? Absolutely. And that's actually one reason why, I have now sought to be in a more vibrant, growing community than what I have been in the past. I used to live very rurally where I didn't have a lot of opportunities. And now I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I do have and that my children have. But there's a lot of great online resources. There are the Tuttle Twins to share with your kids or grandkids. There PragerU, Daily Wire. You also have Turning Point USA. It has a fantastic, if you don't know about Turning Point USA, it is a fantastic way to network among other teenagers and even for your young adults to find spouses. Simply because you're looking for somebody who shares values. I think that's kind of something that we haven't handed down to our children, is the fact that when you look for a potential mate, when you look for someone to share your life with, you really need to start with the fact that you share the same values, the same ideals, the same hopes and dreams, because it makes that working together when there are other conflicts in the marriage so much easier when you have those same goals. Another up-and-coming resource is Angel Studios. It does, a lot of these do require subscriptions, and I know a lot of these are actually all networked under the umbrella of Daily Wire. So if you have that subscription, which it isn't cheap, but it is an investment, you have access to all of these and you can share those resources. So those are just some ideas. I want to come back around to this idea. Each of us can be a Messiah. There's something you can do. You may have to be creative. You may have to look for it. And it may require a little bit of networking. I would love to see your comments. I would love to see what you see as needs in your community or in your family. I encourage you to post those in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Who knows what idea will come forward that it's something that maybe I can run with, or somebody else has the heart and the desire and the passion to run with it. And all of a sudden there's a resource for our generations, for our youth, and for our children that maybe we didn't have, where we can make it a better and brighter future for them. Because that's really what this is about. Nobody wants to live in a depressing world where the future is not as great to look forward as what the past. And we have to reverse course. But it is that past, by looking to that past, where we can learn from our mistakes and learn from our successes, and we can take away and apply that for the future. So that's what I encourage each of you to do. That is the one first step each of us can take in fulfilling that role of a Messiah to the nations. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today, and be a blessing. You will find such rich meaning, fulfillment in day-to-day living. So I'll see you next week, and have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode 6 of Tea, Coffee, and Torah, even though right now coffee is winning. Shalom.